And then let's go to our last one here. Seems like we always have something in the soccer world with Bitcoin or crypto, and so the OKX exchange is becoming the sponsor of the Man City training kit.
Yeah, so to get an understanding of just how crazy people are about this and what a big deal it is, uh, OKX, I believe, paid $20 million to have their name on the training kit, not the kit they're going to wear during the game.
The one they wear before the game or at training, right?
Well, they will wear it. They probably will wear it on the field before the game a
Before the
bit,
game, right?
but they will buy it. And Manchester City has won the Premier League in England for the last 5 years, and their fan base is nothing that we could really conceive of in this country. It's just they're maniacs, and $20 million is a lot of money to be on a training jersey. And I'm not sure how long that contract is for. I wasn't able to tell if it was a multi-year or not, but
Mm-hmm.
given the sums that I've seen in that sport, I would not be surprised if it was 20 million just for 1 year. I and while I like to see things being adopted, I don't think that Manchester City really cared that it was a crypto exchange or what the business was behind it. They wanted to make sure, I'm sure there was very little reputational risk to Man City.
Right.
But as long as someone's willing to stroke a $20 million check, um, I don't think they really cared that much. But I think the bigger part of this is brand awareness for the rest of the world. And what I mean by that is that while soccer is not very big in the US, although it is growing very rapidly, uh, it is everything to people in a lot of these countries. And so
Mm-hmm.
you're talking about, a team like Manchester City having this. That's exposure. I'm just going to say it's exposure to a minimum of 1 billion people. If I'm
So
wrong,
that's
don't put in the comments, tell me, I'm crazy about that. But I think it's exposure to a minimum of 1 billion people. And we're also going to see some sponsorship at the World Cup later this year. I forgot who is going to be a sponsor for that, but I I I think that when you talk about like awareness and changing the mindset of people, there might not be a better way to spread the message around the world than on soccer jerseys.
Yeah, well, and look, I think one of the things that um, took me a little bit to understand living in the U.S. and I mean soccer for most people in the U.S. Soccer is a sport that kids play until they're around 10 years old for most
Mhm.
people. And in the U.S., we have American football, we have baseball, we have basketball, we have the NHL, we have lots of sports, and they're all taken pretty seriously, and they're all very big business. And in most of these countries, it's just soccer. There's no other sport really. I mean, yeah, sure, and in parts of Europe, you might have some rugby or other sports, but for the most part, the the sport that people watch around the world um, is soccer. And just because it's not as big here, we can't forget that it's just huge around the world. And so when you see people paying millions of dollars to put their cryptocurrency exchange logo on a jersey, or when you see the ability to buy tickets using Bitcoin, all of those things are exposing a tremendous number of people to that.
I agree. It's really quite remarkable exposure. Really, really remarkable. And not only that, but do you know how many of these jerseys they're going to sell?
Oh,
And I mean, Man City is like a worldwide brand. I don't know how many people are going to buy their training jerseys, but It's significant. I mean, the amount of jerseys they sell. I saw a stat one time for one of the big teams, and it's just like this mind-blowing number of how much they sell, how much they make in merchandise, and how many jerseys they sell. And I think I like to see it. I don't really think it's I'm not giving Man City credit for any kind of Bitcoin adoption, but I'm happy for them to put this advertisement on their jerseys and have, you know, hundreds of millions, if not billion plus people see it. And I think it's
Well,
one of those things where, you know, we kind of talked about this before. It's one of those things where you just realize that crypto, as much as we don't really talk about crypto and we really Bitcoin focus, but crypto is kind of here to stay. Even when Bitcoin dominates the monetary system. Let's assume that Bitcoin really dominates the monetary system, and it becomes, oh, I don't know, let's just say they price oil in Bitcoin, something crazy like that. You're still going to have these altcoins. There'll still be other things there. There'll be people that are making NFTs and smart contracts, whatever people want to do on alternative blockchains. That's fine. But I think that concept of crypto is rapidly becoming just part of the world we live in. It's no longer this unusual thing. We're seeing governments scramble to try and figure out what to do because they're, as always, kind of typically behind. But in fairness to the governments, I mean, who knows what to do with this new technology that's rapidly emerging. And now we're seeing, you know, Man City has won the Premier League 4 of the last 5 years. So they
right.
are
So
just a monster team.
yeah, and so what I was going to say is that you have to assume that they're not just putting anyone's logo on any of their official kits. Um, for the non-soccer fan listeners in America, the kit is the uniform. Um, the they're not just going to say, "Oh, these guys want to give us 20 million so we can put their name on our jerseys." They're gonna do some due diligence. They are, you know, they're
Well,
and
well,
so
yeah, I have to kind of stop you there because, in fairness, they will put a lot of like betting. You'll see a lot of them have like a betting houses. I don't know what you call them, but like
sure, gambling
sportsbet.io
sites.
on
Yeah.
gambling sites on their jersey. So they're
Well, no,
not.
no, I wasn't saying from like a moral standpoint or anything like that. My point being that they have to make first of all, they got to make sure that whoever it is has the 20 million. And that they're not putting, you know, and this could be complete speculation, but you know, let's just take Voyager as an example.
Mhm.
You know, is Voyager going to be on a Premier League soccer jersey when there's news stories all over the place that they, you know, are about to go out of business because their biggest borrower defaulted on their loan, and so meaning that I think that it's somewhere in between. I'm not saying that there's a huge filter on who they will put on their jersey, but in order for them to accept that sponsorship, they're going to need to have some comfort that it's not a business that's going to be out of business tomorrow, because that would not go well for them either. So the point being that there is some kind of collective understanding that these are businesses that are going to be around. The industry, at least, is going to be around. So I think that it's just, you know, one other indicator that it's just something that isn't going away.
I agree. Just another data point that just shows, you know, how the world is changing. And a lot of times it changes, you just don't realize it. You don't kind of stop to look around and see what's happening. And that's one of the things we're trying to highlight for people is to bring the best stories of the week and to try to help people get a sense of what does the future look like. Not that we know, but you can put together enough data points to make a better guess. And that's all we can ever do is put together the best guess that we can.
Yeah, and to use that information to kind of get a sense of where things are going and what trends we're seeing, and what are the major points that are leading towards, you know, more mass adoption.
Agreed.